Greetings, friends. Prepare for another thrilling journey as we delve into Reddit's most bizarre tales. We're plunging deep into the quirkiest corners of the web. Grab your popcorn and join us on this adventure. Remember to hit subscribe and like. Let's begin. I am a 29-year-old man who got married to my wife. Let's call her Shea, who is 23, in the late 2010s. At that time, I was 26 and she was 20. I've known her for more than 15 years. We got engaged in 2019, and before our wedding, I asked her several times if she was truly happy with the relationship, and if she wanted this marriage, ensuring she wasn't agreeing due to family pressure or any other reason. We come from traditional Asian families where often the family decides whom you marry. Given this context, I made sure to ask her repeatedly, but she always assured me that she was happy and that she agreed without any external pressure. Our families are very close, which is how we knew each other. We had a good relationship, exchanging sweet words and spending hours talking and hanging out together. I still had my V card at the time because I believe in waiting until marriage. Our relationship grew more affectionate, and we were happy together. She was still studying at the time and wanted to continue her studies after our marriage, which I supported. Fast forward to our wedding day, everything was going well, and everyone was enjoying themselves. I was excited to finally be with my wife, but she had locked herself in her room before the wedding, thinking it was too early for her to get married, influenced by her friends' opinions. Her mom managed to calm her down, and everything went smoothly from there. We didn't consummate our marriage on the first night because she wasn't feeling up to it, and I thought, having waited this long, a few more days wouldn't hurt. I agreed to take things slow. The difficulties started on the third day. Since we lived in different cities, she had to move with me to where I lived, but she outright refused, wanting to continue her studies in her city. I had arranged everything for her to continue her studies in my city through family connections, but she insisted on staying in her city to be close to her friends and family. I discussed this concern with my parents, and my father advised giving her some space to adjust to her new life. I followed his advice and told my wife she could stay in her city for the time being while I returned to mine, a 3-hour drive away. A month went by, and she stopped initiating contact, though she still responded to my texts and calls. After a month, she visited me, and her responses to my attempts to discuss our life were cold, as if she were speaking to a stranger. She dismissed my concerns, saying I was worrying for no reason. When I brought up intimacy, she avoided the topic. 2 days later, she returned to her city and continued spending time with her friends. As time passed, we grew distant. I used to live in her city before moving to my current one, and our time together became shorter due to her being with her friends or family. I tried visiting her city to mend our relationship and live a happy married life, but it didn't go as expected. I was surprised when some old friends accused me of not meeting them even though I had been in the city for some time. I asked why he would say that since I had only arrived a couple of days ago. He said he had seen my car parked outside Shaya's college and saw her enter the car and leave. I asked when this happened, as I hadn't been to her college to pick her up or drop her off. He said it was a week ago and showed me a picture of the car. It was the same model and color as mine, a 2017 black car, but had a different registration number. To avoid creating problems in our relationship, I told my friend that my family driver had driven my car there to pick her up. When I confronted Shea about this, she claimed it was her friend's car, which I later found out was not true. After about 8 months of marriage without any intimacy or meaningful connection, I asked my wife, Shea, to decide whether she wanted to stay with me or not. I questioned if I was important to her or if her friends took precedence. She hesitated but eventually said she wanted to move in with me and work on our relationship during her semester break. However, when her break began, she went to her parents' house instead of coming to me. After a week, I asked her if she was coming, but received no response. I contacted her father, who invited me over. When I arrived, Sia locked herself in her room and refused to meet me. Her father assured me that everything was fine, and she just needed time. I told her parents that enough time had passed and I wanted an answer today. I didn't want to waste anyone's time and would prefer separation over this type of relationship. Her parents said they would talk to her and let me know, so I left. I never told my family about our relationship problems because I believed it was my issue to handle. A few days later, her father called and asked me to come pick her up as she was ready to move in with me. I drove there, picked her up, and brought her home. During the entire journey, we didn't speak. When we arrived, she sat on the sofa all night, refusing to share the bed, so I slept in the guest room. The next day, I asked her if she wanted to be with me as a wife or if she just wanted to be roommates. I told her I had enough of this nonsense. We were married, and if we couldn't act like a married couple, it would have been better if we hadn't married at all. I asked again if she had been forced into this marriage, but she insisted it was her choice and ignored me for the rest of the day. After a week of this, she wanted to return to her parents' house, so I booked her a ride home. When her semester break ended, she returned to college. A year went by, and our relationship hadn't improved. I was devastated and wanted to make things work between us. During this time, my family somehow found out about our issues and asked me about it, but I denied there was anything wrong. I wanted to know why she was so distant and uninterested in spending time with me, so I started investigating. I soon discovered she was dating someone else. This explained her lack of interest in our relationship. I didn't confront her immediately, hoping she would come clean about her affairs. I said affairs because she had 4 other guys on standby besides me. I learned from one of her cousins that she had wanted to marry a guy she met in school, but her family refused because he was a drug addict. This revelation spurred me to investigate further. No self-respecting person would want to be cheated on. I gathered the names and addresses of the guys she was seeing, including her school sweetheart. I waited a few months, hoping she would change, but she only became more distant, ignoring my calls and texts. I had enough and wanted to expose her. Through my father's contacts, I obtained her call records and prepared to confront her. My father advised me to try one last time to mend the relationship, so I did. I went to her parents' house to talk and figure things out. I told her that if she wanted to continue our relationship and be my wife, she would need to take a break from her studies and friends for a while until we established a proper relationship. I didn't ask her to quit her studies, just to take a break for a month or 2. Her mother agreed, but Saya refused outright, saying her friends and studies were more important than me. Part of me wanted to expose her right then, but I held back and left. Her father approached me, saying he would talk to her. I agreed and left, knowing they expected me to compromise again. But this time was different. I went to my grandfather and told him everything. He said he had been keeping an eye on things and knew details about Saya that he was ashamed to discuss. He advised me to get a divorce rather than waste any more time. I contacted a family friend who was a lawyer and had them prepare a divorce agreement. It was delivered to her family through a mutual friend. Despite her not deserving it, I even gave her 500 alimony because my father insisted we do so.